Hello everyone, welcome to your Tuesday lunch break. I'm Tanya Rivero. This is National Business Etiquette Week, designed to remind us to mind our business manners. Professional etiquette has not gone the way of the dinosaur. In fact, as small business expert Susan Solovic is here to tell us, without it, your career and your bottom line can suffer, right, Susan?
That's absolutely true, Tanya. It's one of those things that a lot of people think, oh, nobody pays any attention to that anymore. But people are not going to say to you, I'm not doing business with you because your table manners are awful or you're rude. They're just going to walk away and go do business with their competitor or hire someone else.
But with the rapidly changing work environment, how can we keep up with the rules?
Right. It's difficult. There are some new things that have come along, like digital devices, which just drives me crazy. Put them away if you're having a meeting or a lunch or something.
That's rule number one, right?
That is rule number one. Focus on the individual. The exception is if you have an emergency, explain that up front. But basically, it boils down to good old common sense. The basics are still alive and well.
And let's go through some of those. I like one that you mentioned because it's not so obvious. Practice the art of the introduction. I need some practice with this one.
Yes, everyone goes out now and they do all the networking in cyberspace. But one of the best ways to build your business or to build your career is the face-to-face networking. And if you're in an event and I know you, Tanya, and someone else walks up and I simply ignore making that connection, that's just plain rude. Right. Or if you don't know people's names, you should be able to say their names and say something personal about each individual so they can then build a connection.
So true. And you say it's so important to respect people's time.
Yes, respect people's times. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. I know in New York it's a little different because traffic is bad, the subway can be bad, whatever. But usually in most other areas of the country, if you have a set time for a meeting, be there. Unless you're DOA at the hospital, be there on time, because people have set aside that time and arranged their schedules for you, and being 15, 20, 30 minutes late is really rude and disrespectful.
And don't cancel at the last minute.
Don't cancel at the last minute. I quit doing business with someone because we had a scheduled call every Thursday morning, and at the last minute she would cancel. Well, that precluded me from being able to do something else with that time. So
bottom line,
respectful.
Absolutely. And you also say don't forget that table manners matter even in the business setting.
Yes, even in the business setting. Now, I've got some young folks in my family who roll their eyes when I say that, but it does. A lot of times a job candidate will be taken out to lunch so that he or she can be observed and their table manners. But if you don't know which bread plate to use, which coffee cup is yours, not only can it make for a very uncomfortable setting for everyone else, but you're going to just look like you're either ignorant or you just aren't respectful enough to care.
Absolutely. And of course, we have to mind those email P's and Q's. Don't reply all when you don't have to.
All. Don't use uppercase letters. It looks like you're screaming at somebody. And avoid humor, because humor does not translate well in an email. So you may think it's hilariously funny and someone else might be offended.
Absolutely. And of course, it's important how you dress. Don't show up business casual, right, if you're not sure.
Don't assume what the dress is. You're always better to be a little step above than you are to be underdressed. And I actually know someone who hired some attorneys for his business, and these were very high-powered attorneys, hundreds of dollars an hour, and they showed up in golf shirts and khakis. He said, that's it. You're not respectful enough. I'm paying you all that much money. You could at least put on a suit or a sports jacket.
Absolutely,
all right?
that's right. And then don't forget to show gratitude after you meet someone, correct?
Yes, the good old-fashioned handwritten thank you note. It still means
handwritten
a lot.
Over email?
Well, email is all right.
Okay.
But, email immediately, and then sometimes, depending on what it is, maybe a follow-up handwritten note. It shows respect and it makes a great impression.
So important. Susan Solovic, thank you so much for all those very important tips.
Thank you.